This special edition of Nightline, Journey to the Edge, continues. Here now, James Longman.
Antarctica. The mythical white continent. A daunting landscape seemingly out of this world.
It's the closest thing to being in another planet.
Where breathtaking wildlife is now struggling with a new threat. Climate change.
Humpback off the bow.
Tonight, journey to the legendary place once thought out of man's reach. Now struggling to cope with a human-altered climate. The scientists in a race against time to protect the seas.
We have 12 years to really fight the impacts of climate change, and we have to act now.
The shocking contaminants they're discovering inside the whales.
Things like pesticides, even microplastics.
And what the wildlife at the edge of the world can tell us about all of our futures. Just getting to Antarctica takes time and patience. We arrive in Ushuaia, Argentina. The sleepy port town nestled at the foot of the southern Andes, and it's from here we set sail. We've made it down to Ushuaia. They call this the town at the end of the world, but we are going further south.
Hello.
We've been invited aboard the RCGS Resolute by One Ocean Expeditions and the World Wildlife Fund to travel to Antarctica, ground zero for climate change. After 2 days crossing the Drake Passage, we navigate into the waters of the Antarctic Peninsula.
Good morning, it's Sunday morning. Welcome to Antarctica.
But this frigid landscape can be deceptive. It's bearing the brunt of the effects of climate change. Across the Antarctic Peninsula, the ice season has shortened by more than 3 months over the last 40 years, and 87% of the glaciers here are receding. This expedition allows tourists to come face to face with the realities of climate change, seeing science in action.
Let's get away from the ship.
We link up with nature enthusiast Monica Parker. Happy? She's travelled to Antarctica to celebrate her 40th birthday.
So it's 0 degrees out here, it's 0 degrees in there.
Go crawl it.
How are you feeling?
I'm a little nervous. I want to stay in the boat.
Oh yeah, we all want to stay in the boat, Monica.
Antarctica is a land of extreme and unpredictable weather. As we near the shore, it begins to snow.
There we go. We've made it. We've landed on Antarctica.
This is awesome. It's cold, but it's awesome.
I kind of wish it wasn't snowing.
Yeah.
For now, maybe best to leave the elements to the seals and marine biologists. Across the bay,
Just go past it and then turn.
Ari Friedlander and a team of researchers are scanning the horizon, searching for whales.
Today we're going to look for mostly humpback whales, maybe minke whales. We want to be able to biopsy and fly our drone over them to look at body condition and size. Yeah, I see it. Yeah, right there. It's up now.
These marine biologists have come from all over the United States to Antarctica to study the pressures facing the humpback and minke whale population. The biopsy samples are taken using a crossbow.
This is the tip that'll collect the skin and the blubber sample from the whale. It'll penetrate in about an inch or so, inch and a half into the animal and get some skin and blubber. We've been sampling since late November. Getting the body condition and sex ratio of animals that are around here now is really important.
It's summer in the Antarctic, prime feeding season for humpback whales who spend months loading up on krill before heading back to the tropics to mate and give birth. The arrow makes contact, the researchers assuring us that it doesn't hurt the gigantic mammal. Surrounded by whales, the researchers collect a few more samples.
Yep. Southwest is the direction that we want to be basically going.
And after spending several hours in the biting cold, they head back to the ship.
Great job, team. Way to hit it hard with the elements, too.
But their day is not over yet.
We're going to go into the lab. We can process the samples. And so this first sample we took for a pollutants analysis. So this sample can't go in one of the plastic sterile baggies because one of the things we're looking for is plastic contaminants.
These samples, revealing plastics, heavy metals and even flame retardants, have made their way into whales' bodies, the tendrils of man stretching even here to the seemingly pristine and remote waters of Antarctica.
This little subsample is about all you need for both the molecular and the hormone work. So that's a really good sample. You can see the distinct layers between the skin and the blubber itself. Now they go in the freezer and get carried back to California.
And their research is already yielding results. A recent report by the WWF highlights that whales of the Antarctic are facing increased pressures due to commercial krill fisheries and to climate change.
We're really racing against the clock in a lot of ways to generate a baseline for how these animals behave. And these animals are already compromised in a big way, and this ecosystem's compromised in a big way. And so we need to be down here doing this right now.
I suppose for a lot of people at home, they'll be thinking, whales are important. We love whales. They're beautiful to look at. It's important that they remain on this earth. But how does it affect me at home?
They represent the health of an ocean ecosystem. To be able to have enough food to support a whale, let alone a population of whales, and as citizens of the planet, regardless of where you live, we have an obligation to let things be in a way that is unencumbered by our activities.
But a landmark report released by the UN revealed that humans are already altering the world at an unprecedented pace. Over 1 million plant and animal species are now at risk of extinction. Here in the peninsula, many penguin populations are already on the decline. The loss of sea ice is affecting their primary food source, krill. And through funding from the WWF, the researchers are now using the latest technologies available, from satellite tags and drones, to determine how the decline in krill is affecting the whale population. The next day, we get to see all of that technology in action.
Here we go. Let's do it. Got it.
The team from Duke University's Marine Robotics Lab launches their state-of-the-art scientific drone. Hoping to study humpback whales from the air, the team takes us to Paradise Bay. With the weather finally clearing up, this remote cove truly lives up to its name. Within minutes, trained eyes find what they're after.
Humpback off the bow, about 3/4 of a mile. There you can see the animal there, flowing.
We've got sighting of one humpback in front of us. We'll close in and check him out. Just out over here, so at about 1 o'clock off the boat, you can see a little black line.
Liver on the surface of the water.
Wow, I can't believe you saw that.
With eyes in the sky, the researchers move in for a better look.
Oh, those pics. They're super bendy, they're moving their tail around. It's like they're flirting or something.
This one-of-a-kind technology, designed to withstand brutal Antarctic conditions, provides the team with invaluable insight into the lives of these mysterious creatures.
From the pictures, we can actually measure them.
So far, the numbers are encouraging. Unlike most whale species, humpback populations are on the rise.
One of the primary things I'm really interested in is looking at the recovery of these animals from the industrial whaling era.
Once hunted to near extinction, humpback populations have since rebounded thanks to a moratorium on commercial whaling, a rare bit of good news in this threatened region.
For instance, 2014, 86% of our females were pregnant, which is incredibly high.
So the humpback is doing really well at the moment, basically.
Yeah, they're like going gangbusters as far as we can tell.
The team sets up one of their most crucial research technologies, tagging the giants with a tracking device.
Two possibles, but this guy in front of us closest looks good.
Copy that.
Why is the tagging important?
Well, the animals spend such little time at the surface that just studying the animals and their surface behaviour only gives a tiny little insight into what the animals are physically doing for most of their life. So by putting the tags on, we can really kind of get more of an insight into what the animals are doing for the 98% of the time they're under the water.
The tagging team inches closer to the giants.
The idea is to get to the well before it wakes up and dives away. Super stealth.
But the humpbacks are too elusive, diving beneath the surface each time the tagging team gets just within range.
You can
Obviously this is not easy work. We still haven't managed to tag any of these whales. Approaching really slowly, and at the last second they dip down underwater. It just goes to show the painstaking work these scientists have to do. When we come back, time is running out. The scientists get one last chance to tag the whales. And a close encounter at the end of the Earth.
This special edition of Nightline, Journey to the Edge, continues. Here again, James Longman.
The clouds break away. It's morning in Antarctica, one of the most breathtaking places on the planet. We've been following a group of researchers on their mission to document the plight of the whale population in the region. And today is their last chance, as winter draws near and the waters will soon turn to ice.
We're going to head over that direction where there was some calm water and hopefully some snoozy whales. Hey, Bran, we have sleeping whales up here. Can we get the tag pole ready?
So this is the whole point of this mission, to get as close as possible to these whales and tag them with these GPS systems that can tell us so much more about their behavior. The drone team places their camera in the sky, but as we inch closer to a group of sleeping humpbacks, they're startled by our boat. In a rare display, one begins breaching. Unable to tag this group of whales, the biologists move on.
That was exciting. Not very useful for science, but awesome. Awesome to see.
Soon they spot another pod, but they're met with sore disappointment.
Anything different to do here, Ari?
No.
Tagging is critical to their research, and this bay is one Ari has returned to many times throughout the years.
We ended up mapping a krill patch in here that measured over 2 million tons. And we found about 500 humpback whales in here at the same time. It tells us the critical places for these animals. And if we need to set up marine protected areas and keep things like commercial fishing out of them, we know exactly where those places are every year.
And a lot's been made about krill and how, as the kind of the bedrock of their ecosystem, there could be possibly an issue going forward. Can you just explain that, why that is?
Yeah, so there's a very intimate relationship with krill, the krill predators and sea ice down here. In the long term, krill populations are going to decline. The first animals that are going to feel that effect are the humpback whales or the other baleen whales that require these massive amounts of food.
The tag is readied and they move forward once again.
There we go.
The tag will stay on, capturing data for the researchers. Equipped with a camera, it also provides them with a whale's eye view of the world.
So, success. Brilliant. There it is, sitting on the whale.
The whale, woken up from its slumber, begins to eat. The krill moves past the camera.
What we're doing is combining the tag information that's on the back of the whale with the imagery from the drones, combine the data, and we can get a really good picture of the ecology of whales in this area.
Chris Johnson with the World Wildlife Fund has been instrumental in taking the research data and turning it into policy. Their goal is to protect 30% of the oceans surrounding Antarctica by 2030.
Time is of the essence because a recent report by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change said we have 12 years to really fight the impacts of climate change.
It's hard to imagine that this continent could one day look drastically different, placing some of the world's most beloved animals in danger.
In my work as a news reporter, we're often presenting issues like their life or death, and they are often really serious. But being here, learning about the science, you get the sense that this really is life or death for all of us.
During the height of the Cold War, the Antarctic Treaty was signed, designating the continent as a natural reserve for peace and science. And since then, it's been a place where we come to determine the health of the world. We head to the Ukrainian research station to see one of the places where Earth's science is recorded.
And that's Venantsky there.
Boots off. As we head inside, we learn that this place has even more significance than we thought.
So right up there in 1985 was one of the places that scientists discovered the hole in the ozone layer. It's a pretty special place.
It's an issue that Nightline shed light on in 1992, becoming the first to ever broadcast live from Antarctica.
Scientists say the ozone hole over the area, actually more of a thinning of the ozone layer, is now the largest ever recorded.
Since then, the hole in the ozone has recovered significantly, and it's on its way to healing completely.
It is one of the biggest success stories that we have for nature. I'm hopeful we can fight climate change, both here and at home.
And that ambition is one that unites scientists and expedition leaders alike.
And what are you hoping that people take back home with them from a trip like this?
That they realize that the only change we can do is at home.
We check in with Monica to see how the experience may have changed her outlook.
Oh my goodness.
When you hear this debate going on back home about climate change and global warming, what has this trip done to kind of inform you about that?
It's really opened my eyes. At home, I think about, oh, recycling, I'll do my part, and that's it. But seeing the ice formations and the melting patterns and the refreezing patterns, it's really brought home just all of the other things that go about with climate change.
Like, you mean all the stuff that you can do back home that might make a difference here? Is that what you mean?
Exactly.
Making a difference to this place from thousands of miles away might seem impossible, but the recovery of the humpback whale is testament to what can be done to save our planet wherever we are. For Nightline, I'm James Longman in Antarctica.